What's going on, everybody? My name is C4. Welcome back to the channel, and today we're for a brand new Madden 26 rebuild. As voted on by you guys in the last couple comment sections of our rebuilds, you want to see the Cleveland Browns, so I'm going to give you the Cleveland Browns. One could say the Cleveland Browns are the most wanted rebuild here on YouTube on the C4 channel. The Browns are also filled with players who have also previously been most wanted off the field. There's no team that needs a PR overhaul on top of a franchise rebuild than the Cleveland Browns. They keep me, like, literally, I think tonight they brought in Isaiah Bond, who was like a talented, we don't have him in this rebuild, he's not even in the game yet, but a talented, speedy Texas wide receiver prospect that literally went undrafted because of off the field issues. And of course, the Cleveland Browns would bring him in. We don't have him in this rebuild, but we have plenty of other players who have shady off the field behaviors, to say the least. And we got to figure that out. So let's take a look at this Browns roster. Starting on the offensive side of the ball, I think the offensive line year one, not too bad, but under the argument, I think you'd also could throw David Njoku, 89 superstar tight end, of when this team's good. When we finally have this team kind of hopefully competing for a Super Bowl, let's say year 4, to play it safe. How many of this offensive line are still going to be here playing meaningful snaps for us? There's a legitimate shot that we're going to have to find 5 new offensive linemen over the course of this rebuild, which I never love doing, because those are, a lot of times you're going to make significant investments. They're not sexy picks. They're not fun picks. But, you know, you got to dominate the trenches. And when the Browns have been good occasionally over the last 20 years, it's because of the run game, and they've had really good offensive line. So that is something we need to honor. And for the time being, like, I'm hoping that, like, you know, in Joel Bitonio's case and Wyatt Teller's case, they don't retire right away, and maybe we get 2-3 years out of them, but we have to prepare for the worst there, especially in Bitonio's case. He's someone that tends to retire sooner rather than later. But Njoku's sick. I mean, he's definitely a weapon that we're going to use. I'm going to get a little creative because our wide receivers are severely lacking. We got Johnson, who's just kind of just a guy, solid, not great. Jerry Jeudy, wide receiver 1, but I think I'm going to put David Njoku in the slot because I'm really intrigued by the rookie Harold Fannin Jr. from Bowling Green. He is a tight end that led all of college football last year, I think, in receiving yards and receptions. Like, it was an insane stat line, and we need him to get on the field because 71 normal, you know, that's kind of just a run-of-the-mill rookie. And I think there's a lot more potential there for him in this rebuild. So I think the sooner we can get him on the field, the better. And that way there we still can utilize David Njoku. And honestly, by putting him in the slot, he's probably going to get a lot more looks and be a lot more involved offensively. But that being said, much like the offensive line, you know, if this doesn't work out and Fanning can't develop, we're probably going to need a tight end successor. If and when we can find wide receivers, we're going to need to accumulate them because outside of Jerry Jeudy, I don't know if we have enough game changers at the wideout position. Now we look at the running backs. Jerome Ford's a solid player. They get Dylan Sampson, 74 hit and dev running back from Tennessee. And then they get Quinshon Judkins, 75 hit and dev running back from Ohio State. Very talented player. However, kind of fits the Browns over the last couple years. Had issues, had red flags, had off the field. And up till about 2 days ago, it looked like, you know, he's even going to play his rookie season. He's going to get suspended. What's going to happen there? Got cleared of all of his charges. I'll put an asterisk. Because for some of these players, I have been judge, jury, and executioner in my videos. As you can see with the quarterback room, I'm not dealing with that. As soon as we can get Deshaun Watson off our books, we will do so. And that's always and will forever be the challenge for doing a Cleveland Browns rebuild, is dealing with that horrific contract. But in the case of Judkins, I'm going to kind of treat it like maybe Michael Hall Jr. from last year, another player. Was a hit and dev rookie last year from Ohio State defensive tackle. Red flags, but in his case, got acquitted, and it seemed like a situation where, you know, maybe the player was telling the truth and kind of getting screwed. And a lot of Browns fans kind of defended him in the comments because I traded him right away. So maybe I'll give, you know, that circumstance, Judkins, the benefit of the doubt here. You know, I read kind of what was going on. Enough for me to say, you know, probably not a good person, but very good player. We need talent. We're talent stuff. We're going to treat this like the NFL, and, you know what, maybe my punish, I don't know, because I know he's like, maybe I just go with Sampson as the starting running back. Like, that would be the little bit of like, let's see if Sampson, because he's a good, I'm going to do that. I think that's the middle ground. We'll keep Judkins, but for the time being, because there's not that much of a discrepancy, and Sampson seems like a good kid, we'll let him be the starting running back, and see if the vibes can improve that way. Then at the quarterback room, come on. You know, this is our guy. I watched the Browns' first preseason game. The crowd loved it every time Shedeur Sanders made a play. He looked pretty good. He looked very impressive. And I'm a fan, and I think for a franchise that needs like just good people, I know maybe his personality and some of this social media stuff could rub you the wrong way with Shedeur Sanders, but I truly do think he is a good person. He's a good kid. I'm impartial because of the side of him that makes people hate him. I kind of like that. I think sports needs a little bit more of that in today's climate. So we're gonna hope and we're gonna try and develop, but it's not an absolute foregone conclusion that he's going to be our franchise quarterback in this video. He's a long ways to go. Limited ceiling as is, 67 with a normal dev trait. You look at his stats, nothing really stands out. Probably dogged him a little bit on that 58 awareness, but like he's not a freaky athlete. 88 throw powers, nothing crazy. His accuracies are relatively solid, but we have a lot of work to do if Shedeur Sanders is going to be a franchise quarterback and the guy that can bring this Browns team to a Super Bowl. But we're going to give him a shot because I'm a fan. And come on, you clicked on this video, you're probably hoping I tried this. Now on the defensive side of the ball, we have two injuries we have to talk about. One is Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, awesome football player. I'm a big fan. It looks like his career is up in jeopardy. He's not playing this season. I'm going to be optimistic, and we will have him back on the team for next year. We also have a starting quarterback, Martin Emerson Jr., had a preseason injury that's ending his 2025 campaign. Because we're in the nature of if we do kind of suck, we're going to have better picks. We have 2 first-round draft picks, our own and the pick from the Jags, who they gave us for them to go select Travis Hunter. If we're bad this year, I can live with it because it's just going to be better picks. So in those case of those pre-existing injuries, we're going to embrace those because it is going to make a little bit more difficult to win games, but we still have talent. Denzel Ward's a stud. Newsom's pretty good. Delpit's pretty good. They get Carson Schwesinger in the draft. A lot of arguments to be made in terms of just pure off-ball linebacker. Might have been the best going. So he's going to hopefully be a tackle machine. And then next year, I'm looking forward to Schwesinger and JOK leading the defense. From the linebacker spot, we have Mike Hall Jr., who does have some upside. We have, obviously, Mason Graham, the first-round pick from Michigan. Thought it was a safe pick. Thought it was a smart pick. Maybe not the highest ceiling that they could have selected that spot, but I think probably the highest floor. I think his tandem with Myles Garrett, it could be very special. It could be dominant. It could win and should win us a couple games this year on that alone. Lastly, we have a man who has the argument to be the best player in the NFL. In real life right now, the Philadelphia Eagles and Cleveland Browns are doing co-op practices ahead of their preseason game. And all of the Eagles beat reporters are saying that Myles Garrett might be the best player they've ever seen in these co-op practices. I'm literally seeing people that have been covering the Eagles forever, and they're like, Tom Brady 1, Myles Garrett 2. So when that's the kind of company you're keeping, we already know how insane he is. I'm just hoping he's still, in terms of regression. And what I've noticed in Madden 26 is regression doesn't hit these players as harshly in years past, which was in kind of the selling points and coming new to franchise mode and the deep dive and stuff. And I've, in my opinion, have seen that. I'm hoping that Myles Garrett continues to play at a high level. Regress doesn't hit him too bad. And by the time this Browns team is ready to compete and contend, he is still dominating offensive lines and getting double-digit sacks. And I don't know if this is going to be a sign things to come, but after our first preseason game, we have Shedeur Sanders getting an upgrade, and we're very close to getting a second one. Let's go. How fast can we get him to at least to a 70 overall? Can we hit him at a 70 before the start of week 1? That'd be sick. They're going to be our focus players this year. Mason Graham, Schwesinger, Sampson, Fannin, and Sanders make the most sense. And again, I don't want to just outright punish him, but instead of going Judkins, I'm going to put JOK there because we are just resting him this year, and he's going to come back to play for us next season. So that way there, he'll still get a little bit of development. From a realistic standpoint, this is where he's going to, improve that IQ. He's going to be watching a lot of film, and that's where I think he's going to help us out. All right, let's start this rebuild out right. Home opener divisional matchup against the Bengals. It's going to be quite the upset if we can get this win over Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase. And if you've played any Madden 26, you know that there's an argument to be made the Bengals are the strongest team in Madden 26 sim right now. So let's see what Shedeur can do in his NFL debut. Let's get that dog pound barking. Get these fans ready. They're very excited as we smash it. Where's Drew Carey at? Where's Mimi from the Drew Carey Show? That's who we need out there. Kick off the potential Shedeur Sanders era. Again, if it doesn't work out, I'm not going to force the issue. If Shedeur, I'm probably going to give him 2 years. But You know, if he's 2 years in and it's just not working out, he's struggling to get more touchdowns than interceptions. You know, wherever that works out. I mean, we're gonna have to find our guy. Let's see. We got a 3rd and 13, and we're able to get pressure right away. It is Tryon Shoyinka. I believe he was a former first-round pick of the Bucks. Trying to get a second win in his career. Huge sack. All the attention goes Mason Graham and Myles Garrett's side, and we were able to finish that off. And there we go. We have opening drive for Shedeur Sanders. 3rd and 8. We got Sampson as the running back, Fannin, and Njoku. So this could be a good call just to get Sampson. One of my favorite plays. Okay. Did not work out. All right, a very quick score by the Bengals. And now they're saying, hey, 4th and 1, you want to go for it? We're going to try to get this with throwing because when you run the ball in short yardage, 75% chance you're going to run into an invisible wall. Or get insta-sack before literally I could do anything. So that play wouldn't have worked. If we would have ran that exact same play as a run, that would have been stonewalled for sure. And the Browns are kind of going through growing pains here as we're going against a Super Bowl contender. Now, the Bengals defense sucks. So I'm kind of hoping that we can get a little momentum here going. There we go. Sampson, first completion. Rookie on rookie. You know, got a little wear and tear there. We got to keep an eye on. And I come back in, 3rd and 7. There we go, right to our best receiver, David Njoku. Shedeur's playing efficient football. No picks. Kind of methodical. Oh my God, dude. We are getting, there's like instant pressure on almost every throw. We have a decent interior. Teller has a depth rate, Batonio. So when do the Bengals have dudes like that? There we go, Harold Fannin. Use another timeout. Still 1 good to go. 1st and goal on the 4. We got Sampson. You know, and obviously we kind of roasted Judkins. Judkins is going to be a valuable piece of this offense, even if we're not going to let him be lead back right away. And there we go, Dylan Sampson, the other talented rookie running back in Cleveland. Let's go. We got to try and recreate, you know, at best, you know, Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt. Another Kareem Hunt. Just, how do the Browns keep getting these guys? Anyways, when that year or two, that Chubb and Hunt were pretty sick together, I'm kind of hoping we can get to that level. But I would much rather Dylan Sampson be the Chubb in that scenario as like the feature go-to guy. And then Judkins can... Come on, Myles. Oh, no! There's no chance. Get that shit out of here! Outstanding job, fellas. Okay, 3rd down. On the 24. Field goal range. Field goal wouldn't be terrible. Okay, 4th down. Go for it. Go for it. Why stick again? Sure. It's a slant to Jeudy. As long as we don't get insta-sacked. Or safety? What? Huh? All right, put that down as what the fuck was that? Jesus. I don't think I've ever seen that bug. All right, Shedeur. I was kind of hoping. Oh, then that need to get. How's that a drop? Come on, Jeudy, the only guy we got. Can't say in all my years I've yet to have that bug, but there we go, where it's throwing out of a sack, ball goes 75 yards backwards, and it's a safety. There we go. Great throw by Shedeur Sanders. What the fuck? I gotta clip that and put that on social media. Get some internet points. Before we do that, let's get a touchdown here. That's a good ball right there. Cut it still. Come on, Jeudy, top, make a play. Or we can maybe be able to get this back to Njoku. You just got to back that ass up. Come on. Ooh, fan it. That could be cool. Get his confidence going. Here we go. Harold Fana Jr. Dominated college football. And in garbage time, feel good about how we closed this one out, you know? I wasn't expecting to beat the Bengals, but we saw some good things. We saw also an alien suction our football back 75 yards, and then the NFL's like, 2 points, Bengals! Now, I know we're in a rebuild, so when you can kind of sell off players at their maximum value, you do. Wyatt Teller, 79, but he's a superstar dev right guard. Philadelphia Eagles looking to run it back for a Super Bowl. They have 3 third-round picks. So we're going to send them Wyatt Teller superstar, freeze away for Tevin Jenkins to start. That's really our one position where there's a lot of depth. Other players I thought about potentially considering to trade. One was David Njoku, but there definitely becomes a point where, like, I want Shedeur to succeed, and we need some weapons in-house year one for that to happen. But at right guard, it made a lot of sense to potentially make a trade. Third-round pick, and we're also going to get the 6'7" wide receiver, Johnny Wilson, to potentially develop for us as well at wide receiver from the Birds. Now, we'll say here's what I like to see. First win of the year over a playoff contender in the Green Bay Packers. 31-7 Shedeur, 3 touchdowns, no picks. And we get another upgrade point. We'll take just the highest rating possible so we can finally break that 70 overall threshold. Now, we went the entirety of our last rebuild with the Carolina Panthers without one single breakout scenario. And here in year one with the Cleveland Browns, we ain't that far, and it's Denzel Ward trying to become a superstar X Factor. And we got to do it against Jared Goff and a new look Detroit Lions. Got a new play caller. Maybe things aren't as smooth offensively as they were in years past. Damn, we lost 38-10. I'm going to guess we probably did not get the breakout scenario. Come on, DC. We even get XP? I'll take a sympathy. There we go. I'll take a sympathy 4,500 XP. Mid-season, we got ourselves a 3-point upgrade for Mason Graham for getting 5 sacks in the season. You know, maybe up to personal interpretation if getting almost 15,000 XP is, you know, scaled properly for hitting 5 sacks. But I mean, defensive tackles need to be graded a little bit differently than edge rushers. And I think that's, you know, maybe a little overpowered, but not insane. I go back to my earlier point. We did not have any breakouts in our last rebuild. And here we are for Shedeur Sanders in his rookie campaign. 300 yards, 1 or fewer picks. I almost am hesitant to choose a new goal because that is attainable. I won't play the game. I feel like everyone knows I can hop in and just easily get that number. If he gets it, sick, organic. If not, I wonder if I choose new goal, can I go back to 300? Oh, no, I might have just fucking... Oh, that actually... 65% completion percentage and 1 or... Oh, dude. Yes! We can lock in this for a breakout? Okay, let's go. That's totally doable. All right, on the road against the Vegas Raiders. I'll use this time to plug our main channel, Raiders Madden 26 franchise mode. Go check it out. He's the best franchise mode on YouTube right now, in my humble opinion. No bias detected. Shedeur Sanders. has a chance here. And, you know, if you get a pick, it's a big yellow bar when you're playing the moment. So let's see, no picks. Let's see, 65% completion percentage, which in the sim, almost every quarterback gets that. You're not going to get a better scenario. Now, of course, it's 5-9, like a CFL game. But I think that's going to be our best chance. Because, I mean, we're not a prolific passing offense. So getting like a 300-yard goal was always going to be tough. But listen, we're tied at 16. If this game goes to overtime, that could also help us out a little bit. And it does go to overtime for completions. We might just straight up win it in overtime. Oh, no. We didn't get that. Okay, but did we get the breakout? What? A tie? Okay. Oh, and he went 50%. Oh. Oh. What? Brutal. I mean, by interacting this, we might get some XP, but that is so brutal. So brutal. It's the Browns. Easiest breakout scenario you'll see for a quarterback. And we tie Eddie. Well, while we're here, we're 3-7-1. Let's look at some contracts. Let's give the webcam for a second. We had a good salary cap. Almost $100 million, so we're in a relatively decent situation here, salary cap-wise, that if you are clearly deserving of a contract extension, we could give it to you. So I think someone like Batonio, we're actually going to, he probably will retire. But if not, let's give him 18.5. Should be enough to overpay to get him to come back for one more year if he is interested in not hanging him up. I think we also have Njoku. I think he'll hold on to this rating fairly well. Now, we're going to have to overpay because he has no interest in staying here. Well, we'll go maybe 3-year, 46.5 and get that locked in. I think we'll still find a way to get Harold Fanon on the field. We have Greg Newsome, another, we don't have the depth to really want to get rid of him. I think I think that's just easiest. Let's go with a player-friendly deal, and we'll go up to 5.5. 5 years, $62 million. Greg Newsome, locked in. Martin Emerson, off the injury. I think another player that I would love to lock in 4 years. 26, turn that down. I could probably get a 28. Could be a number. Tevin Jenkins, I traded away the other guard in Wyatt Teller because I want you to start for us. So clearly we'll give you a contract 2 more years. And I would say everybody else at this price, one to watch in the middle is here like Hickman. He's starting. So if his stats at the end of the year are worthy of a contract extension, same with Tryon Shoyinka, we'll come back to the table. There we go. About $500,000 more. We got Martin Emerson's contract across the line. Well, the season's gone about as expected. Not a lot of big expectations for the Browns, but we did sneak a little win here over the Bears late with a Player of the Week performance from who else but Shedeur Sanders with 4 total touchdowns. He's playing well, man. He's given us hope and optimism that maybe he will be the guy. All right, well, this is the first. We got fired as Kevin Stefanski. Year 1 with the Browns. Obviously, that's not how we're going to end this rebuild, but I don't think I got fired at all last year. And we are 3 rebuilds in and Madden 26 canned. So I'm going to go. A great opportunity to go with who I think could be the next great head coach. I've been saying it for a minute now. He's worked wonders with the Buffalo Bills. We're going to steal away the Bills' offensive coordinator. Joe Brady is the new head coach of the Cleveland Browns. So what I was saving, I was hoping to kind of lead off with, I was paying attention. Dylan Sampson's a 92 overall right now. Absolutely brutal that we got fired. He had 9, I think they'll see it right here, 9 upgrade points at the end of year 1. 9. I've never seen 9. He got 37 upgrades, 12 awareness. It's not a lot that was like crazy in terms of like speed and acceleration. Because look, he had 10 rushing touchdowns in a year, which gave him 24,000 XP, and he got 1,000 yards rushing all in the same game, which is enough. He got 50,000 XP. Wow. But for our Cleveland Browns, why did Kevin Stefanski get fired? Well, 5-11-1 will do that. Did win the final game of the regular season, costing us draft position, which is, I don't know, I guess. We'll pick 2. Looking at the stats, Shedeur Sanders for starting this year as a sub-70 overall rookie. 3,500 yards, 24 touchdowns, 9 picks. I can work with that. It's not great. It's not offensive rookie of the year discussion. It's also not bad. It's a good starting point. The building blocks are there. He also chipped in another 5 rushing touchdowns, so almost gave him 30 on the year. And you also have to understand that we probably have the worst skill position across the board, be it starting with rookie running backs, Jerry Jeudy, nothing else, 2 kind of tight ends. Where it's not a conducive offense, and I do think with our number 2 pick, I'm hoping wide receivers there. Like, that would be probably our dream selection. If we're doing a realistic rebuild, we'd be getting a big dog. You know what I'm saying? But we're not quite there yet. The draft classes aren't ready. So we're going the fictional class. Hopefully we get a great role at wide receiver. Dillon Sampson, a.k.a. Mr. 9 skill points of the season, 1,000 yards, 10 touchdowns, acceptable year. Honestly, I really like the fact he has 0 fumbles. That's pretty impressive. Great carry. Receiving, Jerry Jeudy's our only player going over 1,000 yards. 1,000 yards for him and 5 touchdowns. And Njoku, 6-4, not bad. 6-5 for Harold Fannin. 5-6 from Deontay Johnson. 465 yards, 4 touchdowns for the 6'7 Johnny Wilson, who we got in that trade with the Philadelphia Eagles. We're going to try and develop him as well. Defensively, Devin Bush and Carson Schwesinger, both over 100 tackles. Great year for Schwesinger. Very excited to pair him with JOK next season. On the sacks front, we got 19 TFLs, 15 sacks from Myles Garrett, 10 sacks on 12 TFLs for Mason Graham. That could be Defensive Rookie of the Year quality. And the secondary, Denzel Ward, leads the team with 4 picks. And with Joe Brady, we are inheriting the Bills' offense. Josh Allen wins MVP. I'm not saying Shedeur Sanders is going to be Josh Allen, but what I am saying is this adds to the realism of, like, if Stefanski got fired, I think he's a good coach. But if he did, Josh Allen wins MVP, that just adds more realism and value that Joe Brady will be one of the hottest names to become a head coach. And we're going to see what he can do here in Cleveland. But there you go. Offensive Rookie of the Year, Shedeur Sanders beating out Ashton Genty. Dillon Sampson coming in at number 3. Harold Fannin making the shortlist. Defensive Rookie of the Year, Shamar Stewart, with Mason Graham and Carson Schwesinger coming in at number 3 and number 4. I will say the only thing that might be screwed up here is with Stefanski. We had our scouts. We had all of our scouting. Do we have that same information? I'm going to assume probably no. Maybe we do. We scouted wide receivers, and we got some guys at wide receiver. Good to know. And this is a strong wide receiver class. Look at almost 10 first-round caliber. And the old Browns got hit with the retirement bug. Rayshon Jenkins, Shelby Harris, who was a starter, Joe Flacco, Jack Conklin, and Joel Bitonio all retire, which, as far as starters, we need some O-line help. Good year for the Browns to have 2 first-round picks. And we get our 2 skill points here for Shedeur Sanders getting Offensive Rookie of the Year. He's on normal dev, so I'm going to be fairly optimistic that we will get him up to at least a star dev trait. But there are times that you won't get it automatically. But we do. So that's pretty sick. And you know what? We're going to build around him. Let's put the C on his chest. So look at our players. Ronnie Hickman went up dev trade. Actually, I guess we should go look at the team overall as dev trade. But Ronnie Hickman went up to a star dev. So that has now made him like a guy that I think we should try to build around. So I'm going to see if we can get him on a 4-year. I'll even overpay just a little bit. 4-year, 26. Let's go. All right, so quickly looking at our team to see what the dev trade situation is. Denzel Ward makes a jump from Superstar up to a Superstar X Factor, which very sick to see. I feel like I thought Mason Graham was a Superstar dev. Okay. Well, we get JOK back. We get Martin Emerson back. So we're feeling real good about that. We have Ronnie Hickman, who started all year, goes from normal up to a star dev, gets himself a brand new contract. So that is sick. And our defense is already looking on paper significantly better than where it was this season. On the offensive side of the ball, both the running backs have their dev traits. We gained the dev trait on Shedeur Sanders. We get Harold Fannin up to a star. Sick. Which is like a double value because we have the regression of David Njoku. Not so much on his base overall rating, but he loses his superstar dev. But you can just see the holes that have been created on the offense. as we have to now find a replacement at left guard. Maybe we could try Zinter there, and we definitely need to go find a right tackle sooner rather than later in the draft. So the bad news kind of for the Browns is even with those retirements, our salary cap situation is not the best. $45 million. The right tackle market. We have Evan Neal, who I still think maybe the play for Evan Neal is kind of to follow the Mekhi Becton development, where it's like, yeah, let's take this kind of first-round busted tackle, move him inside a guard. I just don't really want to pay a developmental guard $7.5 million per year. And there's already 3 other teams bidding on him. And there's zero interest for him to join the program. We need guards as well. It doesn't get much better. Trey Smith, premier player, zero interest. And we don't have, like, if I had $145 million of salary cap, which, looking at the talent on this Browns roster, that makes a little bit more sense. I would absolutely throw some money that way. But there's just not really anything going to tackle. Wide receiver is another big position to need. And again, just a no thank you. So we need a really good draft. So the final mock draft has us at pick 2, selecting a pass rusher here in Christian Kincaid. Probably not our biggest need, but we could justify, even though I think our defense is, I'm optimistic, especially with the healthy JOK, the healthy Martin Emerson coming back. That will be fine there. But, you know, yeah, edge rusher could certainly be in play. We also have the first round pick from the Jags, which they were actually kind of good this year. They have us going double edge rusher. Does mock draft 5 know we have Myles Garrett still or nah? So I will say, even though we focus kind of at the wide receivers, and I love having the information, if I'm looking at this offense, I think we could go another year with Njoku, Fannin, Jeudy, and then, gamble that maybe Johnny Wilson can continue to elevate his game. I think the argument would be made that right tackle, an offensive tackle, a center, like rebuilding the offensive line, it's not sexy, but like that's probably the biggest priority. Saw Shedeur Sanders struggle with terrible offensive line play at Colorado. I don't want to have him have the same issues here in the pros. But unfortunately, I didn't really scout much on the offensive line. So we're gonna look at the top tackle, like a top 5 talent there. I think as far as guards are concerned, just like a terrible class. All day 3, no first, second round guards. I think, let's see, we take a pick here at some of the centers. You're looking really for A's. This guy looks pretty good. Almus. A pass block, A pass block, footwork, A run block. A run block. What? Okay, there would be, he wouldn't even cost us a first round pick. So that is definitely someone we want to kind of circle. And we're just looking for A's. Again, guards are all day 3 talents. C's, double C's here on Terrence Bacon. We got an A pass block on Johnny Downs. We're probably not going to be able to find our guy. What about on the right-hand side here? We got A pass block on Jose Lowry. We got the double B's on Zach Rodriguez, so we'll take that. We'll get 2 tackles and a center, and we'll add that to our wide receiver information and try and make the most, at least out of our first 3 picks. First 2, our 2 first-rounders and our high second-round pick. All 3 of those guys need to be starters. So take a look at what information we have. Bobby Wilson, the top tackle, is a top 5 talent. And I think based off the last mock draft, he actually was in range for us to select. But if we don't get him, the right tackle we got, ooh, the letter grade's a lie. Those look sick. Like, I would have assumed that this guy here would have been a round 1 talent. The center that we had is top 5 at Almus. Again, I don't want to, that's a sick find. But it wasn't really that difficult. It wasn't like I found an absolute gem. I went the guy that had all the A's across the board. So I actually really, really want to get Jose Almus. And we have, obviously, our information on the wide receiver. So we're going to be able to make the most. Now, there's not a lot of steals. You got Whitmer here. He's a first, second round talent. Nothing real crazy late. A second, third rounder there. And Juan Romero from Clemson. But I'm thinking right now, like, we might go tackle, best wide receiver available. And maybe try to even trade up a couple spots. Got to get that center in the second round. I mean, for the tackle, I don't think the Jets are good at tackle. Fashanu and Membu. So they go Kramer. Let's get a Joe Thomas successor here. Bobby Wilson. 6'6", 314, Tennessee. A pass block, B run block, comes in. 35 reps at his pro day. Elite acceleration, agility, change of direction, jumping. Yeah. you know, try to retool, rebuild the franchise here a little bit. It's not going to be a sexy draft. In my head, too, I was thinking, you know, 2 first-round picks. Maybe we spot, you know, wide receiver. That makes sense. Still need one. Edge rusher. Put someone else on the other side of Myles Garrett. There's like a generational edge rusher. And it just so happens it looks like, you know, maybe we got to get some big uglies up front. Trust our board. 2 top 5 talents found out for the Browns. And Bobby Wilson. Ooh, I wonder who number 1 is. We got number 2 at number 2. Feel good about that. And then somehow, again, the Jags were good. They go 22. I mean, we did a rebuild with the Jags, and they weren't that bad, but we weren't that good year 1. For us, well, let's see. For the wide receivers, we have Fields, Prince, Grooms, like legit first-rounders. If we wanted to go edge rush, we have Wyatt Hunter, who's also a legitimate first-rounder, 6'4", 254 out of Nevada. A finesse, B tackle, couple C's, elite acceleration. Strength's not terrible. I mean, that's not bad. Kind of want a wide receiver. What do we got? So we got Leonard Fields at wide receiver here. A deep route running, B release, 5'11", 191. Now he's a deep threat, but we don't have a cannon of an arm quarterback in Shedeur Sanders. But he ran a 4.28, and that was 3rd. But the 3-cone, 20-yard shuttle, both look pretty good. We also have Prince, pretty much like the same build, and he ran a 4.29. And then we have Grooms. See, my question would be, A catching. Ooh. This guy looks pretty legit. What is... Pass rush. I mean, I just kind of almost feel like Myles Garrett and Mason Graham can kind of run the show for our pass rush. Like, we can find, you know, maybe 2nd, 3rd round. But right now, I think we go wide receiver here. And we'll go with Fields just because, you know, advantage. He ran a little bit faster. Number 7 at 22. Got the... Oh, no! No. 98 speed. Normal dev trait. All right, well, we got pick 34. That's a little bit of a downer. Still got the pass rusher there. When's this? What's the center? Oh, he's gone. Wow. Okay, I mean, hey, worked out in a way. We can get this pass rusher here. Or we can grab another wide receiver. No, we'll get the pass rusher. Wyatt Hunter. Don't screw me. At least have a dev trait. 21 in true value. And we're just drafting the best guys, no dev traits. Sick. Love it. We actually got value at Bacon guard. The only guy that even remotely looked interesting draft. And there we go. Okay, back in the dev trait department. Cool. Wasn't... Ah, man, that's center. We should have just drafted him. We should have just went all offensive line in the 1st round. Trust when you get top 5 talent, regardless of round, get him early. All right, board shot, but you've heard of Jordy Nelson? How about Jordy Nielsen? A-zone coverage, B tackle, not a freak of nature athlete, but I did want to try to add another linebacker for the Sam position. And we're honestly not having a good draft at all. I'll tell you what, though, 7th round, we get Eddie Curtis at punter, 72 in true value, hidden dev punter. So take a look at our draft recap. We end up 72 hidden dev punter, pretty sick. We get Eric Patterson, a 75 guard. Who, that was very surprising. Just saw the dev trait and moved on. Sick. Depth. I mean, do we need 2 guards? Not really. But could we move maybe Tevin Jenkins to one of the tackle spots? Potentially. Jordy Nielsen was a terrible pick. Bacon, 74. 75 on Hunter, normal. Fields is 78. So if you're going to get a normal dev wide receiver in the 1st round, you better get him in the 20s, and you better also have a great base rating and unteachable speed. 98 speed, 96 acceleration. We can work with that. And, at least we didn't screw up the number 2 pick. We get Bobby Wilson, an 82 overall, hidden dev, franchise left tackle. A true successor, as we said when we drafted him. The Joe Thomas. He looks like an absolute stud. But what I need to see is where did... the center, who was number 65 or something like that, who I thought absolutely was going to be available in the 2nd round, When did he go? Right? No, it wasn't you. What was his name? Oh, 84. I don't even want to look. This is painful. We had the number 1 and number 2 players scouted on the offensive line at positions of need. And I just said, you know, I got greedy. Look at 93 lead block, 94 impact block, 86. It's Jason Kelsey. Regen. What, he's got to be probably a superstar X Factor or something like that. They don't even make superstar X Factor linemen. He's just a superstar. Okay. I mean, hey, we screwed that up, and we're gonna learn from this. If I get if I'm in another situation where I scout a guy that's a top 5 talent, I don't even care if he's supposed to go in the 3rd round or 4th round. That's my 1st round pick, if I really want him. And if I don't get him there, I can't be, you know, crashing out if I don't get him. So I'm going to move Tevin Jenkins back to tackle, where he's played significant snaps at tackle in his NFL career. I'm not just moving a lineman just because it's bad, and we're moving him back to tackle, where he played for the Bears. And just kind of looking at our roster before training camp starts, it's probably time. When I was like, how do we have no salary cap? I don't know how I forgot this. Still a pretty substantial penalty. Yeah, he does have the mentor tag. Don't want him mentoring Dillon Gabriel or Shedeur Sanders for their sake. So we are now at a time where we could say goodbye. You creep, Deshaun Watson. Get off my team. And we're also going to bring in the veteran David Andrews to start and probably just be one and done at 34 years old, but capable center for 1 season. Also, never hurts. It's been a minute since I've been down bad in a rebuild where I'm kind of looking for UDFAs. We found a star dev UDFA corner, Cameron Goodwin, Southern Miss. We'll take all the help we can get. If you want a tip on, like, instead of clicking on every single player, especially with how slow the menus are right now in Madden 26, to find potential dev traits, so you're not clicking every single player. It doesn't always work. It's not a foolproof plan, but like that player that we just found, they had a future starter in their player tag. That's usually kind of what I look for, just to kind of speed run this a little bit. It doesn't always mean that. Like we have Drake Jackson, for example. He's future starter, but he doesn't have a star dev trait. Just see, look, I got another one here. Darren Pearman at wide receiver, 68, has the future starter tag. This is either going to show that it works or show that it's not foolproof, because I don't know. There you go, fellas. Enjoy. Kind of funny. Just load up the next class for year 2 as we start year 2. And the top player is a quarterback that looks like he's 350 pounds, named Buzz Pitts. Now, for whatever it's worth, game 1 of the Joe Brady era is a win on the road against the Cincinnati Bengals. And they're one of the better teams that you're going to go up against. And that wasn't like, you know, we had Shedeur playing lights out or anything, but big time win's a big time win. That's exactly what we got. We endured the superstar ability. And what we did is we let our defense grind this one out. We let Myles Garrett remind everyone he's best damn player in the league. We follow that up with a win against the Denver Broncos, very impressively, 24-3. And with that, we get a breakout scenario for a wide receiver. And really, any option here wouldn't be bad. And it is Johnny Wilson, the 6'7" wide receiver that we got from the Philadelphia Eagles. And he needs, get the stupid webcams, 3 catches, 75 yards. He's only a normal dev, but that is super attainable for him to become a star dev and maybe, you know, a big-time player for us. So let's see if we can get it at home and sweep these Cincinnati Bengals in this matchup. I have some good news. I don't want to spoil it, but I don't feel as bad losing the center. I guess that's what I will say. And what I do love is, look at this. At no real point should the Browns in year 2 really be sweeping the Cincinnati Bengals. Like, the Bengals, pound for pound, in my 3.5 rebuilds, they're not the Chiefs. They're not as overpowered as the Chiefs were in the last couple of Maddens. But generally speaking, Joe Burrow is probably the best sim player in franchise right now. And the Browns can't be stopped. But did we get 3 catches, 75 yards for Johnny Wilson? We did not have a lot of yards passing. Oh, he's not, like, you know, when you're not even making 4 for 60. Oh, he was so close. And this is going to be bad news, but maybe we get the 4,500 sympathy XP here for the 6'7" Johnny Wilson. And he'll, dev trade or not, continue his development with the team. I don't think it's been unveiled yet, but I leveled Bacon just when I was going through it. I wasn't recording because I didn't think anything of it, from 74 to 75. And when you have a player that has a superstar or X factor, but for the that's a cap for a lineman, at 75 is when you would upgrade him. A little pop up here when you see all the upgrades. Ability slot unlocked, and we got that with Terrence Bacon, who is a superstar dev lineman. We'll take that for, what was he, a 5th round pick? And this new look Cleveland Browns team is looking very... I mean, we don't have one single player in the leader, so it's not like we're cheesing, but we're very good and undefeated into the bye week here in week 7. We just beat the brakes off the Saints. I do think we are getting a little bit of a favorable schedule because we're playing off like a last place schedule, and our team's clearly under the tutelage of Joe Brady, firing on all cylinders. Shedeur Sanders with a 4-touchdown performance gets offensive player of the week here in week 6. But we're feeling good. We're feeling great. Taking a look at the team here. So we know we got elite value in Bacon, and we get that it doesn't even matter because there's no X Factor abilities for linemen. But we get the excessive superstar X Factor on our number 2 overall pick. And finally, a true Joe Thomas successor in Cleveland. Like, yeah, there's not even X Factor. I don't know why. I mean, I guess it just makes sense that you're just going to have linemen be X Factors never again. Why not add some X Factor abilities? Now we got Dylan Sampson who gets another upgrade point. He's now up to an 89 overall, halfway through his sophomore campaign. And I actually had to share like that XP boost he got last season on X just to be like, where are we at with the scaling of XP? And I'm going to use that as a segue here because we are still at the bye week. And we have another just insane development. Mike Hall Jr., the star dev D tackle, who is playing alongside Mason Graham starting this year, just got 5 skill points, and he got it for getting 21,000 XP for 5 sacks. Like, I don't think like adjusting the XP sliders would change like what these milestones earn. And like, it's nothing to do with my coach abilities. I have no coach ability that is increasing XP for like running backs with Sampson or D tackles with Hall Jr. I know Mr. Hurricane had like an XP slider set, and maybe he kind of went into that, but I don't think it has an effect on these goals and XP. That's insane. I mean, I'm not going to outright complain, but it's like you could just as easily have that, and then for 5 sacks, if I get 10k XP, if I just had no recollection of how much you got, and you said 5 sacks would get me 10k XP, I'd go, that's sick. That is an unreal upgrade, without knowing that the reality is you get double that. So it does feel excessive. So coming out of the bye week, we have another sit down with Johnny Wilson. So this game, clearly, Joe Brady in particular thinks Johnny Wilson is more than just being 6'7", 230-pound wide receiver. Giving him every opportunity. So let's see here against the Jets. 2-5 Jets. Can he get a dev trade increase? Because, again, it's not like a huge one. We're just looking to make that normal up to a star. Come on. Any thoughts on Johnny Wilson? Come on, give me good news. He works hard and keeps getting better. Oh, that sounds promising. We just need to work on him. Okay, that doesn't rule out that we didn't get the breakout. God damn it! Come on, Johnny! It gets worse. We get our first L of the year to the Jets. That is not great. We do get a player of the week, Denzel Ward. Let's keep it here live. Because is this going to be the wheels falling off? If we lose to a bad Jets team and then a 1-7 Jags team, the Cleveland Browns with Joe Brady are on fraud alert. And we did. 2 L's after the bye to 2 teams you just can't be losing to. Okay, let's get insane. Another L. 3 straight off the bye. Another breakout scenario for Johnny Wilson, who I might have to just cut. I did set focus scouting this year again to wide receiver just because even though we brought in a 78 normal, I feel like maybe we can get something a little bit better. Especially if Johnny Wilson is going to go 0 for 4 on breakouts. Maybe he's just never going to be that guy. Late season, it's a trend. We are continuing with big skill point upgrades. Shedeur Sanders gets 4. I bet it's for getting 30 passing touchdowns. And it's actually 3,500 yards passing and 30 touchdowns. Gives him a nice 30,000 XP boost, which gives us 4 points, which will bring him up to an 81 overall. And just getting a look at where his base stats are, still, I mean, argument could be made. I made him a scheme fit for field general. Maybe low in a strong arm, see if we can get that throw power into the 90s. But his accuracies, and obviously his booster off the chains right now with +7 morale boost, he's looking pretty damn lethal. So the Browns have going 9-8. We have, our points need to be better. But Shedeur Sanders led passing offense, almost top 5. Our defense is top 5. And the pain of being the first team out in the playoffs is, You know, I mean, 3-9-8 teams between us, the Titans, and the Patriots. Someone had to miss out. I guess it was us. We can build off this, though. All right, looking at Shedeur Sanders. Finishes the year under Joe Brady's tutelage, the man that refined Josh Allen to an MVP. He's actually, well, technically, for going real life in Madden, 2-time MVP. We got Shedeur Sanders just under 4,000 yards, 31 touchdowns, 10 picks. So he's developing nicely. We also have, 300 yards on the ground, another 4 touchdowns. So you combine all that, we're feeling pretty good. You look at the running, Dylan Sampson. We're not going to talk about like cheesing or anything with the XP because I can't control that. We take advantage of that situation, and we have a very, very good running back. Receiving, we get Jerry Jeudy, back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons. Our first-round pick, Leonard Fields, no dev trait, was solid. Johnny Wilson, while, 4 or 5 dev trait scenarios failed, the big 6'7", 230-pound wide receiver at Florida State, 900 yards, but 11 touchdowns, an absolute machine. And Njoku is starting to slow down a little bit, but that's why we have Harold Fannin waiting in the wings. JOK back healthy, leads the team with 124 tackles, 7 TFLs. We get 19.5 sacks on 12 TFLs for Myles Garrett, 9 sacks for the rookie Wyatt Hunter. Another one of those players who just unfortunately, holy spinning backfish, UFC 319. Carlos Pradas. That's sick. All right. We're working into the night right now. It's almost 1 a.m. This is what we do on Saturday nights when you spend all of Saturday during peak Madden season at a water park with your kid, being the best dad you could be during the summer, making memories, getting sunburned. You come back at midnight and you try and make the Cleveland Browns into a Super Bowl contender. It's what we do. A little bit of a disappointing season here to Mason Graham. But, overall, as a quartet, I believe that would be the terminology for 4. Pretty happy with that. Picks, Denzel Ward leads the team again with 3 interceptions. Josh Allen gets his 3rd straight MVP, but look at that. Shedeur Sanders in the top 10. Joe Brady magic in year 1. We're going to build off of this going forward. Unfortunately, though, no award winners. Wyatt Hunter was kind of like a meh 2nd-round pick. Runner-up for Defensive Rookie of the Year. And Myles Garrett with 19.5 sacks barely makes the top 5. So, okay. Now, as we close the doors on a season that I thought we should have probably been good enough to make the playoffs, especially going into the bye week undefeated, but then we lost. There's a loss against the Jags, a loss against the Jets, probably shouldn't have happened. Can't blame anyone but ourselves. Still, even with 11 touchdowns, no dev trade for Johnny Wilson. Shedeur stays as a star, but we drafted Bacon, mid-round pick, superstar dev. We get Wilson, top 5 talent, number 2 overall, X Factor. Very happy with that. The offensive line is a humming. Now, we had the retirement of David Andrews. He was pretty much a one and done. So, if I'm looking at this offense as a whole, I think, and also another thing is Njoku's regressing, but he's still not regressing terribly. That was one of the improvements to Madden 26 franchise mode. The regression wasn't as harsh. So we're still in a really good spot there. We need a center, probably the least valuable, position on the offense. I did focus scout wide receiver again, even though, we found Pierman. That guy looks like a deep threat for sure. But we'll see. Again, swing for the fences. Maybe we can find an absolute stud at wide receiver to maybe elevate this offense. But again, if not, would be wasteful for using our draft resources there. But, we can rock and roll with this wide receiver core again next year, and I would still be very optimistic. Defensively, dev traits. We got absolutely nothing outside of Watson, who gets one, and that's a sympathy dev trait if I've ever seen one. So for our squad, as far as contracts are concerned, I I mean, I didn't really even bring this up mid-season because like I'm feeling like we're pretty decent. I do think maybe Goodwin, one of these UDFAs, there could be like development opportunity there if he wants to stay for 3 years. Let's go. The hidden dev wide receiver though, again that's a little pricey for just But Delpit 28, he's looking for a 3-year 29-30. Don't hate that. Now, he's not overly interested in staying, so we might have to overpay, and I don't really want to go much higher than $30 million. But he stays, and he buys in. I can't remember, man, back in the day, when he was coming to LSU, man, a lot of people thought he was one of the best players in the draft. Had some injuries and stuff. He's finally putting it all together. Now, take a look at our free agents. Ooh, we got some interested in. Good year to need a safety. And the Ravens, good year to be in the Ravens division, as they have lost Zay Flowers and Kyle Hamilton and Marlon Humphrey. Who did they pay? But for us, wide receiver, I mean, we could just try to steal Zay Flowers, but again, no interest. And even though now we don't have Deshaun Watson on the books, we have $139 million of cap. Elton Jenkins at center. We do need a center. Pretty good. I mean, we might as well look everywhere because we have so much money that even if it's not like an immediate need, if there's like an absolute stud available, like safety, we just double what? It's like high 80s, mid 80s. So like it's not a position where we need to be spending $20 million on a superstar safety. Someone like Brian Branch, you could move to corner, but we're really pretty happy with our secondary. For that to be where the value is here in free agency. We have so much money. And this is just the bummer of I focus scouted wide receivers in this draft. And what we have is we got a top 5 here in Langford. 6'2", almost 230, running a 4.4. We have a round 1 in Diggs. We're not going to be able to get the top 5 guy. So if that's the case, we have this much money, and we could steal from a rival. I'll hit him with a player friendly. $133 million. Takes it. Sick. If he doesn't take it, it's not the end of the world. We'll put an offer out there, and unfortunately, dang. Very annoyed. Very, very annoyed that I feel like we're building something good here in Cleveland, and it's been 2 straight free agencies where there's negative interest in any players wanting to buy into the project here. So looking at the players, I just keep getting drawn to the top 5 wide receiver there, especially swinging and missing on Zay Flowers. My 3 focus scouts, I just went center because that is maybe the number 1 position of need. We have Clayton Leonard, who looks legit. I'm kind of viewing that as a consolation prize. Where is Cameron Langford going in the mock draft? We want to move up. Where's he going? What? Did I miss him? Langford, top 5 talent, wide receiver. Any of these? What? There's Trey Langford. There's no way. There we go. Okay, he's going 25 to the Cowboys. And then in mock draft, is he going to fall to us? I'll tell you right now, if I was somehow manipulating this so that I could always get all the good players in my rebuilds, I would make a video on this. That'd be a viral video. I have no idea. I think unless this mock draft is lying to us, this top 5 wide receiver undeniably should be on the board at 17. Dude, what? Okay, thanks. I guess off the field. I assume this is a scenario where he got a draft story that just tanked his stock or something like that, an RNG situation. But Sick. I was getting ready to trade up. I don't know. I probably wouldn't have done another first round pick, but I might have. Number 5 in true value, so he's the low end. He's the worst top 5 talent player that we could have got. But he does have a depth trait. He is 6'2". He is 223 pounds. He does have 94 jumping, 93 speed. He's going to be very good for us. He's going to be very good to elevate Shedeur Sanders year 2 of the Joe Brady era. Now, unfortunately, we're kind of in the blind pick territory because we went in on wide receiver. So I'm looking here at Jordan McKinley, who has B man, B press, B catching. Not really a great combine, not a terrible combine. But unfortunately, I think we're going to kind of sell out the rest of this draft. Depth trait, cool. Really, my last pick, I'm just going to overdraft. We have Max Johnson, a 3rd, 4th round talent at pass rush with relatively pretty decent combine grades up and down the board. Can we keep finding depth trait players? We can. So, taking a look, I mean, I wasn't expecting crazy ratings. In the case of McKinley, it was a blind pick. Look for B grades. B grades are usually pretty good. And for Johnson, we had him just part of our scouting information. We just trusted our board there a little bit. We ended up getting Marcus McDonald, a 70 overall running back in the 5th round, which is pretty solid value. But the fact that Cameron Langford, a top 5 talent player, fell to us at 17. And if we're going off mock draft 5, which if, you know, who knows, maybe Madden 26 is a little bit different. I don't have enough experience to say for sure. But in Madden 25, it was like 90% of the time mock draft 5 was how the actual draft was going to go. He was going to slip out of the first round. 79 depth trait. I don't see nothing wrong with him. Now, he was the number 5 player overall in the class, so I'm kind of interested in who else was very good. We have a corner. We have a guard. We have a corner. And there he is. Kind of killing the draft process here. So, unfortunately, I'm going to ruin it for you guys just because I think there might still be like 1% of people that can't believe that I can draft this good. And I will say, while I do think, shout out Parent Crow, when you used to have Draft War series, I can draft as good as probably anyone in this game, which is not something that's overly difficult to do. I understand some people do have struggle with it, but I do it multiple times a week. But there is still the glitch where if you go into weekly training with a hidden depth player, it will show their depth trait because Langford, who absolutely should not have fallen to us in the first place, our hidden dev wide receiver. Because when you go look at training camp or weekly trainings, it's been, I don't necessarily want to say it's a bug, but clearly, you know, you probably shouldn't be able to sneak a look at your players' hidden dev traits through this menu. It highlights that Cameron Langford has ankle breaker, which, you know, the league let us get another superstar X Factor in the draft. That shouldn't have been anywhere near our draft pick. No one wanted him. We'll take him. And that gives us, right along with Bobby Wilson, right along with Terrence Bacon, we've had a couple drafts now. 3 drafts in, and we got 1 superstar, 2 X Factors. It's about time. The Browns, 5-11-1 year 1, 9-8 last year. Disappointingly didn't make the playoffs. I'm doing everything I can to get this team to where it needs to be to start winning and going to the playoffs and being a legitimate Super Bowl contender. And I think right now, year 3, put up or shut up. Langford's a dog. We are at midway point. A game before even crossing the halfway point, he has 8 receiving touchdowns and just got a 12K XP boost, which in turn, right now, for our new X Factor, I will go into Scheme Fit and try to make him a playmaker, but he's going to be pretty close to an 85. He's going to be a 90 overall maybe by the end of the season. So we're at midseason. Browns are 5-3, which I'm going to say maybe a little whelming of a record given the hype. We have a top 5 offense, top 3 passing offense. So again, I'm happy that, you know, Shedeur's playing well, but our defense is kind of, we got to tighten it up in the back half of the season here. 30th is not good enough. Well, let's look at some contracts here. Not the great time to be like, let's pay all of our defensive players when our defense is playing this bad. But let's get Denzel Ward here locked in for a 2-year deal. He's been very consistent, best ball hawk corner on our team in this rebuild. JOK, in this world anyways, he has come back healthy, regained his form, and him and Carson Schwesinger at linebacker have been a great duo. I think Jerry Jeudy's been very consistent. He's got 1,000 yards in back-to-back years, and I think him with Langford should develop into a hell of a duo. Maybe the best wide receiver duo the Browns have had in decades. Mike Hall Jr. had a breakout campaign last year. Actually got more sacks than Mason Graham did. So I like that duo. Let's keep those guys together. Now, outside of that is where things get a little interesting. I think for us, I do love, obviously, having Johnny Wilson here. But he's kind of surplus at this point. And he had a chance, dude. You can't have as many breakout scenarios as he had and just fail. And they were layup breakout scenarios. Nathaniel Watson did go up dev trait. It was a sympathy dev trait, but no matter what way you cut it, 27-72 with a star dev as kind of like the depth third linebacker. You can do a lot worse than that. So let's keep him on the team as well, especially with our salary cap situation is pretty good. And I think in the case of Tevin Jenkins, maybe that's where we kind of focus towards the draft, getting that replacement in. There was a green interest buyer there. I think I'd retain him. The fact that I'm going to have to overpay for a 29-year-old that's kind of at his ceiling, I think there might be better options for us. Finally, man, it has been I can't remember the last time we had to call and pause the sim here through the season to highlight a Player of the Week performance. But here we go, Week 9. The Browns getting some momentum. And it's Shedeur Sanders back where he belongs. AFC Offensive Player of the Week, 300 yards, 4 touchdowns. We go back-to-back, another win. I believe that's 4 wins in a row, and this time it is Myles Garrett getting Defensive Player of the Week with a hat trick of sacks. 3 games in a row after, I don't think we had one all last season. We get a Player of the Week performance. It is Shedeur Sanders who is on fire. And we're going to keep it here live as we get, there's a test. There's a sim test right there. The Chiefs are down bad a little bit. They're 4-7. And I can say right now, the Chiefs will upgrade our players. The Chiefs are still the Chiefs until they're not the Chiefs. And what that means in franchise mode context, as we get some nice upgrades here for Langford and Sanders, is that they are the final boss. They are the cheese. And if you could go in, especially a road game, beat the Chiefs in the sim, that is going to give this team, that's going to give me confidence that we can go on and we get the dub. A very, very nice leveling up Joe Brady. It was close, 30-24, but a Chiefs road win in sim, still bee's knees. And there we go, baby. I mean, we got something special. You have the drafts that we have. Team's still not like a super team by any means. We're 88 across board, which is very, very good. But we go 13-4, and we're making sure that we're undeniable this year. Last year, 9-8, tied, first team out of the playoffs. This year, we go 1 seed. We win our first AFC North divisional title in 3 seasons. Very tough division to win. You can make an argument. AFC North, excluding the Browns, with the Bengals, Ravens, and Steelers, could be the best division in football. Toughest division to win. So I feel very proud that year 3 with the way that we built this team. No crazy free agency signings. Couple trades, but like humble trades. And look at Langford, the rookie wide receiver. Now, I did put him in the slot. Slot cheese is not... It's definitely nerfed a little bit, I would say, from my experience so far in the sim. Right now, Joe Burrow might need to get nerfed a little bit. But Langford in the slot, almost 1,400 yards, 16 touchdowns as a rookie. Shedeur Sanders, 4,100 yards, 39 touchdowns to 7 picks. And I think kind of what we've done, Jags rebuild, Patriots rebuild, Panthers rebuild. All right, so far I'm not missing one. I haven't had quarterbacks play like this yet. This is the first rebuild we've had where our quarterback could arguably be our best player. Like, Bryce Young was solid, had a couple big years, but for the most part was just solid. Trevor Lawrence was kind of solid. Drake May was pretty good to solid. Shedeur Sanders, maybe our first elite quarterback in a rebuild. Got 1,000 yards for Dylan Sampson. I would say a little bit surprised. I mean, the passing offense this year was great, but it really, going to the first 2 seasons, I'm really surprised that this run game hasn't been as dominant as maybe on paper it could be. But I'm happy Dylan Sampson has been certainly a weapon. Langford comes in and just dominates. Very special player. Still no idea how he fell to us in the draft, but we're going to take it. Jerry Jeudy gets 1,000 yards, which is great. Justifies the contract extension we give him. Fields was solid. Njoku, everyone else was kind of just, secondary. But Langford, Cameron Langford, has a chance. A Josh Gordon peak-esque season here for the rookie out of Michigan State. 88 overall. Whew. I mean, that should be Offensive Rookie of the Year. Award that we won way back in year 1 with Shedeur Sanders. Defensively, Carson Schwesinger led the team in tackles. Him and JOK both with great seasons. Myles Garrett with 20 sacks. Little concerned elsewhere. Definitely thought Mason Graham would be flirting with double digits a little more than he has been. on the interception front, 3 picks there for Denzel Ward. But I mean, at bare minimum, at least Myles Garrett's playing like Myles Garrett. I felt like every time I rebuilt the Cleveland Browns in Madden 25, Myles Garrett was always incredibly disappointing. So I'm happy that my best player, maybe the best, pound for pound, most talented player in the league, is playing as such in this rebuild. Ooh, Shedeur Sanders, number 4 in MVP voting, but Joe Brady wins Coach of the Year. Cameron Langford runs away with Offensive Rookie of the Year. But now the pressure's on as we have a first-round bye. Are the Browns for real? Or are they going to be one and done? We have a home playoff game against the 9-8 Denver Broncos. They have a very good defense, 89 overall. I'm sure they're going to have a hell of a game plan to disrupt everything that we want to do with Shedeur Sanders. But our team, I think right now, this could be it. If everything works, Myles Garrett does his job. Our passing offense has been great, does their job. We could go on a run. We have the team. Let's go. Of course, it's snowing. A snow game. Hey, advantage. I'd like to say advantage us in a snow game. Just because I think we have, with Dylan Sampson, the advantage in the run game. I think they probably would have like R.J. Harvey as their starter right now. But, our shiny new toy is our ridiculous X-Factor wide receiver. Is he going to be able to get going in a snow game? First points go, field goal to the Browns. We got a couple good drives here, but man, oh, there we go, touchdown. Let's go, boys. Couple penalties, couple sacks, but that's fine. Pitching a shutout here in the first half. They get some points, but it's only a field goal. In a game like this, I mean, 2 pretty good defenses. Our defense maybe underperformed a little bit, but we know the talent that we have on our defense in a game like this in bad weather should be able to answer the call. And it's not a sexy win, but we didn't lose the first game. Be honest with you, I was kind of expecting to be one and done after getting the first round bye. But with the conditions favoring an ugly game, I imagine Dylan Sampson had a stellar performance there. As Joe Brady era in Cleveland. The Shedeur Sanders era in Cleveland. Look at it, with Shedeur, he had 2 touchdowns. 68% completion percentage. That'll play. That's very good. 86 yards from Sampson. I love that. We had Njoku and Fannin, the 2 tight ends, getting involved. But see, I just knew, man, it wasn't a good recipe for Langford. So I think there's an argument to be made that this snow game negatively affected us worse than it did the Denver Broncos. 2 sacks, Myles Garrett, Schwesinger getting involved. And we get the nice pick from Denzel Ward. So literally all of our good players, for the most part, given the conditions, played very well in this win. And the Browns are moving on to the AFC Championship game. Okay? We got the MVP coming to town. Joe Burrow and the 11-6 Cincinnati Bengals. The battles of 88s across the board. The regular season, we 2-0'd the Bengals. So it's very difficult to beat a team 3 times. We know just how freaking scary Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase can be in this world. They were able to rectify the contract negotiations with Trey Hendrickson. I think literally before I started recording today, the report is the Bengals are fielding trades for Trey Hendrickson, which, come on. I'm not a fan of any team really in the AFC, but I like the Bengals I like anybody but the Chiefs at this point. Cincinnati's just, botching that whole scenario there. But, all right. I mean, hey, this is one of those, it's a rivalry. Super Bowl on the line. Don't want to let Joe Burrow make a Super Bowl and win a Super Bowl potentially off of knocking us out of the championship round. And, in turn, we know Joe Burrow's been pretty fraudulent in the playoffs. Let's make sure that kind of remains the status quo. Oh my God, another snow game. I mean, it worked well the first game. And if there's a team that is as reliant on the pass, with all due respect to Chase Brown, shout out Canada, shout out a guy that I'm going to be targeting in my fantasy football leagues, the Bengals want to throw the football. And a snow game is not a great time to throw the football. But we will see. They just marched their way downfield. They're going for it on 4th down. This is an absolute shit show game. Very reminiscent of the Eagles-Rams last year. I mean, we're going to need Myles Garrett to play out of his mind here. They go for the 4th down. They don't get it. We go in with a halftime lead. Safety. Oh, no, boys. Having 15 points, that is very disappointing. Okay, they're going for it on like every 4th down. They've been going for it. Boys, we're going to get it. Let's go. Yes, Team of Destiny. Shit, weather games, I don't care. In my opinion, which is going to change and evolve as we play more rebuilds. In my opinion, the pound for pound most cheesy, annoying in franchise sim in this year in Madden 26 is the Bengals. They're not, and they haven't put out the vibes of like they're not like the final boss Chiefs of year past in Madden sims, but Joe Burrow wins MVP a lot. It's probably the most common MVP. Jamar Chase puts up video game numbers, and in this game we dragged them down, and Shedeur Sanders outdueled him. That is what did Burrow have? 1 touchdown. I mean, they still had a pretty good stat line, all things considered. A lot of passing attempts for how terrible the weather conditions are. But Shedeur Sanders has been perfect. Yet to turn the football over, and in 2 terrible condition games, he has played perfect, which is turnover free at this point. Run game was not great. Shedeur also threw in another rushing touchdown, so give him game ball. Absolutely. Langford, the rookie, welcome to the show. It was all focus, all worry on Jamar Chase being the wide receiver you had to stop. What did he do? Shout out Denzel Ward. Kept that shit in check. It is the new superstar X Factor in town. Cameron Langford, the offensive rookie of the year. 6 catches, $120, and 2 touchdowns on the day. Defensively, we got good pressure. Wyatt Hunter, 2.5 sacks. Myles Garrett, 2. Like, I'm not going to say, I wouldn't care if we don't win the Super Bowl. I mean, it'd be nice to win it because, hey, it is what it is. Obviously, I'll be able to upload this video a little bit earlier on Sunday. I'm perfectly fine if we crash and burn. It's not the end of the world because I want to keep going with this team. But also, we have a winning formula right now. This team is absolutely good enough to win a Super Bowl here in year 3, which has kind of become the new year 5. You know? Most rebuilds in Madden 25 are taking us year 5. I think a huge factor is we've just been dominating the drafts so far here in Madden 26 and just adding absolute game changers immediately in the rookie campaigns to raise the floor of our program. Because there's nothing about, like, you know, any of the other rebuilds that we've been maybe perceived ahead of schedule. We're like, oh, we're the Cinderella team, Cinderella run. You know, we're one of the best teams in the league. There's nothing Cinderella about this. Super Bowl is set. We get the 9-8 Bucks, which, with all due respect to the Bucks, and look at that defense, that is going to be a very tough puzzle to solve with Vita Vea and Antoine Winfield and all those dudes. But, you know, it's not Philly. It's not San Francisco. It's not Dallas. You know, there are much more feared teams I think we could meet from the NFC side than the Bucks, with all due respect to the Bucks. Like, we're the favorites going into this one. Expectation is Browns win the Super Bowl, and we get the check mark on this rebuild early. The Bucks ran the gauntlet. Hey, literally the teams I was just talking about. They beat the Cowboys. They beat the Eagles. They beat the Packers to get here. Certainly have run the gauntlet. Baker Mayfield, solid. 30 touchdowns, 12 picks. Like, kind of similar to what we've got out of Shedeur Sanders to this point in the rebuild. Bucky Irvin, pretty good. Receiving, you still got Chris Godwin. You got Emeka Ibuka. By this point, Mike Evans, the legend, has retired. But we got to definitely be concerned with Chris Godwin. Reliable players, been here before. Their pass rush is certainly not as feared as ours is. But the ratings are definitely good. From a pick standpoint, I mean, come on, man. The only storyline that could go against us in this one is Baker Mayfield trying to get something over the Browns in the Super Bowl. And we gotta make sure we shut that shit down. So here we go. I mean, that would be a hell of a storyline. This situation ever happened in Baker Mayfield with the Super Bowl on the line, went against the Cleveland Browns, who I think you could probably say, if you're a Browns fan, that's like the biggest of the last decade. Maybe even a bigger mistake than giving Deshaun Watson that contract is giving up on Baker Mayfield. I heard like some reports that the whole Baker Mayfield thing was maybe how they handled the Myles Garrett smash and Mason Rudolph over the head. I heard there was some drama around that, and they kind of picked Myles Garrett over Baker Mayfield. I don't know. I'm not going to comment on that. I've heard it on it's Reddit. I'm going off of Reddit on that one. But it would be a perfect ending for Baker Mayfield's career. I mean, he's getting out there in age a little bit. They get a Super Bowl win over the Browns. But it is our job to deny them of that. And we just got to pick of them in the red zone. And I think to a man, we got way more talent than they do. They have experience, I guess, but it's not like they have, you know, Super Bowl experience anymore. And Godwin's the only holdover probably still. Vita Vea maybe was there when they won the Super Bowl with Brady. But we are going into the fourth quarter up 21-14. Very close matchup. Tampa settles for a field goal. We're going to have to get a stop here. Baker Mayfield with a drive to go win it. And, dude, they can't get it. They try to run it on 4th down in the Super Bowl with something known as a Clifton Mack. Not even a Bucky Irving. There we go. Big old check mark. Another successful Madden 26 rebuild in the books. Taking only 3 seasons with the Browns. I don't know, man. I'm too over. They got a nerf C4 in the draft. Like, I don't really want to put house rules on myself for drafting. But, man, they're going to keep letting me get clearly the best players in the draft. I don't know. I'm not, like, I think it'd be insane to avoid drafting them. But there we go. That's why we're there. You know, we're going to get the realistic rebuilds going eventually. That'll be a little bit harder because the realistic draft classes are way more difficult. And generally across the board, way less generous with player ratings and X Factors and Superstars. And way more, maybe more interesting because they're real college players. But as long as we are drafting with the generated draft classes, we are undefeated in our rebuilds right now. We have been able to find the best players more often than not. I think what's most impressive is I haven't had to trade up. We've stuck with our actual draft capital and just got absolute game changers through and through. 21-17. Who gets the game ball? Who is our Super Bowl MVP? Shedeur Sanders, 18 of 28, 224, 2 touchdowns, had 1 pick, 64% completion percentage. Did have a rushing touchdown, so that's 3 touchdowns for Shedeur. He's in the lead house. Langford, the rookie, truly a generational player. I mean, over 200-some yards, 3 touchdowns in the championship and in the Super Bowl. Defensively, Myles Garrett just got us 2 sacks every single playoff game. Denzel Ward, of course, who else would get the pick? I love the fact that so far in Madden 26, I haven't outright sat down and tested the whole, like, playbooks don't matter as much kind of theory, but I feel like I can say in my still somewhat limited experience in franchise mode, in Sim, your good players play good. That wasn't always the case. That was often maybe one of the lamest immersion-breaking things in Madden 25 Sim. Like, I remember every single Cleveland Browns video I did, Myles Garrett was disappointing. Myles Garrett would barely get double-digit sacks. You know what I'm saying? You could never rely on your star players to consistently play well. Denzel Ward, Myles Garrett, Shedeur Sanders, X-Factor rookie wide receiver Langford, all those guys incredibly reliable and played to their talent level. That is sick. That is working as intended, and the Browns are Super Bowl champions. So as you always like to do, like to look back at our player stats and what they were able to accomplish in this rebuild. Only had to go 3 years versus our usual 5+ that it takes. And I think it's very obvious that this was aided by our draft classes in terms of how quickly this Browns team turned around. But Shedeur Sanders, in 3 years as a starter, over 11,000 yards passing, 94 touchdowns and 26 picks. First couple years was humble. Last year under Joe Brady, probably the best sim season we've had out of a quarterback yet. So that's awesome. As someone that personally I am rooting for Shedeur Sanders, who also gave us really nice production on the ground, especially from a touchdown standpoint. Dylan Sampson, I think we made the right call going with him. We didn't outright, can Judkins, but we highlight maybe the better human being in the backfield, and he was awesome. Incredible 50K XP earned for getting 1,000 yards rushing and 10 rushing touchdowns, which gave him, I think it was 9 skill points. He was almost a 90 overall going into his second season. Just insane. Borderline broken. Probably should be adjusted. Jerry Jeudy got us 1,000 yards every single season. And, Fields, Wilson, Johnny Wilson was a cool trade, even though I'll always just remember the multiple failed breakout scenarios. Langford is special. That is a guy that's generational player and a little bit of the bummer. I was like, you know what? How much better could he get? Could he become like a 2,000-yard receiver? Maybe. Who knows? Defensively, we have Myles Garrett with 157 sacks, 158 TFLs. He was incredible. I'd say basically maybe a little whelming. I had higher expectations for him throughout this rebuild. In the secondary, Denzel Ward, great ball hawk, reliable player. And, yeah, this is as good of a Cleveland Browns rebuild, as successful of a Cleveland Browns rebuild, as least disappointing of a Cleveland Browns rebuild as you're going to find here in Madden 26. Oh, there we go. A cool little way to end it off. Shedeur Sanders gets a superstar dev, so that's sick. And that will do it for our Madden 26 Cleveland Browns rebuild. what I need you guys to do. If it is your first time stopping by, don't be afraid to hit that subscribe button. You're going to get the, I'll say at least right now, the best drafting rebuilds going right now in Madden 26. I'm on an absolute tear. We'll be able to continue that. Maybe not. And there was still blemishes. We had that year 2 draft where, yes, we got an X Factor who was already fully scouted as a top 5 talent. But other than that, a couple wet fart, no dev trait, maybe low ceiling, not potentially, braggadocious flex on type picks. But all it takes is you got to be right a couple times. Like Wilson, Bacon, Langford, all big-time game changers. What are we doing, the wrap-up here? Yes, we are. So if it is your first time, you subscribe. We are working our way now to the new big channel milestone goal of 200,000 subscribers here on the channel. If you want to help the video out, all I ask for is help me with the YouTube algorithm by throwing a little like if you enjoy the video. Leave me a comment, if not replying, which team you want to see me rebuild next in Madden 26, even just for the algorithm. I very much do appreciate it. And that'll do it for me today, guys. Thank you very much for watching. Until next time, it's your boy C4 saying peace out, love ya. Have a good one.